Angiospermic glands we have finished. Take out your notebook, check. Did we finish that topic? Just check. In plants, I think we are done. What was the last? What was it? What is it last? What did we finish? You were absent. What was it last? All of you were absent. You also absent. This side, who was present? All of you were absent. You were there last class. All of you were absent. Very good. Then I will go according to my choice. So now we are. You all take out your notebook. The male system is already done. I think today we have to start with the female system. Correct. Today we are to start with the female system because the last class, I remember, it was a 2-hour lecture. No? The last class was a 2-hour lecture. So today we are going to start with the female reproductive system in human and the process of reproduction. Female reproductive system. Let us come across this. Now, for female reproductive system, you'll have to draw one diagram. All of you take out your pencils. You need to draw one diagram. All of you will draw the diagram with a pencil. No using pen for your diagrams. No using pen for your diagrams. Two of you come and sit here. Pencil. Draw fast. Okay. Done. All of you have finished the diagram. This diagram, practice properly. This diagram comes in your exam. Drawing of this has to be a bit smaller, narrower. This has to be pear shaped, triangular. So when you draw the diagram, just take a note. I'm showing you the diagram there also. It has to be a triangular structure. Walls comparatively thicker here. Arced tube, this tube, it has to be arced. Curved tube, thinner, not very broad to draw. Ovary to be always connected to the wall of the uterus, to take a note when you are drawing. And the lining of the uterus. So talking about the female system, the female reproductive system, as we had already studied the male system, more or less parts same, functions, few parts we are going to come across which help in the formation of the gametes, like the male system we had studied. Talking about the primary parts of the female reproductive system, the first one is the ovary. Ovary, the primary part of the female reproductive system, just like the testes we had studied. What are the major functions of the ovary? The major functions of the ovary would be the major functions of the ovary too, right? Number one, it helps in the formation of the female gametes. It helps in formation of the female gamete. And what is the female gamete? The female gamete is known as ova or the ovum. What is the female gamete? The female gamete is known as the ova. Female gamete known as ovum. And what is the second function of the ovary, the primary organ of the female system? The secretion of the female hormones. Secretion of the female sex hormones, and what are their names? To remember, estrogen and progesterone. This with reference to control coordination also you had studied the same thing, estrogen and progesterone. Write two functions of the ovary. This is what to write down. Two functions of the ovary. Number one, formation of the gamete. Number two, release of the hormones. What are the names of the hormones? Estrogen and progesterone. Now, some other concepts about the ovary. Now that I talk about, what are some other basic concepts about the ovary now to understand in comparison with the male body also? The ovary is present inside the abdomen. The ovary is present inside the abdomen, and both the ovaries undergo, we are talking about both the ovaries do not undergo gamete formation simultaneously. They do not undergo gamete formation simultaneously. That means one ovary at a time participate in the gamete formation every time. Unlike the testes, again, this is very, very important for you to remember. Whenever I am talking about the ovary, only one ovary at a time will participate in the gamete formation. Which cell division for the gamete formation we had discussed? Which cell division is involved in the gamete formation? Meiosis. So meiotic cell division. So in case of the ovary, it is only one ovary. Both the ovaries will never participate in the process of gamete formation at a time. Now look into the ovary to understand that if I talk about the ovary in a section, this particular ovary, I want to look into the ovary in a section and try finding out what would be the arrangement of the cells that the cells are undergoing the process of gamete formation. What will be the arrangement of the cells? Now this particular ovary in a section to come across, the inner lining of the ovary will have a large number of diploid cells. The inner lining of the ovary will be having a large number of diploid cells, almost like this. Diploid cells meaning that they all will be having the 46 chromosomes. The inner lining of the ovary will be having a large number of cells. All the cells are diploid, meaning every cell has got 46 chromosomes. Just like other body cells, we talk about the cells of the skin and the muscle and the bone. Every cell has got 46 chromosomes. Here also, roughly to understand, if the ovary is cut in a section, what do we understand? If the ovary is cut in a section, yes, the inner lining of the ovary that I know will all have 46 chromosomes, but only one cell at a time will undergo the process of meiosis. Only one cell at a time will undergo the process of meiosis, and now this cell is in the process of formation of the gametes. This cell is in the process of formation of the gametes. If you remember, I told you that the moment one particular cell is in the process of formation of gametes, one cell is undergoing the process of meiosis. How many cells should it give rise to? One cell is in the process of meiosis. How many cells should it give rise to? 4. Now, in case of the female body, same thing. One of these cells which is having a nucleus and 46 chromosomes, they will undergo the process of meiosis. Definitely 4 cells are getting formed, and this process is taking place inside the ovary. But this cell, which is now inside this cell where the nuclear division is happening, this cell is becoming very big. The gamete formation taking place inside. So this particular big cell where the gametes are all getting formed. So I write gametes this way. Why am I writing the gametes this way? Because for every single cell of the ovary, I want to understand what about this cell of the ovary? How is it forming the gametes? Yes, it is forming the gametes by meiosis. Definitely 4 cells it is going to give rise to. But all the 4 cells are not of the same size. 3 are very small and only 1 cell is very big where the cytoplasm is all concentrated. In the female body, this is an exception that we come across as compared to the male body. In the male body, what did we understand? One single cell of the testis. Whenever it undergoes meiosis, it results in the formation of 4 cells, and all the 4 cells are having the same amount of nucleus and the cytoplasmic content. In the female body, that is not the case. In the female, 1 cell of the ovary, whenever it is undergoing the process of gamete formation, whenever it is undergoing meiosis, the cytoplasmic and the nuclear division is uneven. Hence, the cytoplasm concentrates in 1 cell in large amount, and the rest 3 will get a small amount of cytoplasm. But the nuclear content is the same in all the 4 cells. So I would write all the cells, they have how many chromosomes? Same 23. All these 4 cells, they are having the same 23 chromosome, but do they have the same amount of cytoplasm? No, the cytoplasm is concentrated in 1 cell. And what is this big cell with a maximum amount of cytoplasm known as the ova? And this is what is the female gamete. Try comparing here. Whenever we are talking about the male body, 1 cell of the testis produces 4 functional gametes. 1 cell of the ovary produces only 1 functional gamete. Give a reason. You are asked questions. Give a reason that 1 cell of the testis produces 4 functional gamete. In comparison, 1 cell of the ovary always produces 1 functional gamete, because in case of the males, 1 cell divides to form 4 cells, and all the 4 cells have the same amount of cytoplasm and the nucleus. In case of the female, that is not the case. In case of female, cytoplasm gets concentrated in 1 cell, and the rest of the 3 gets a small bit of cytoplasm, but the nuclear content is all the same. Hence, female body produces 1 functional gamete at a time. Am I clear? Now, one more thing again to understand, both the ovaries are not undergoing the process of gamete formation at the same time. Both the testes does. Both the testes undergo gamete formation at the same time. Both the ovary doesn't. For the ovary, it is always in a period of a month. For example, let me make it very simple. If I would say that in the month of July, this is making the gamete, August, September, October, November, December, it is like that. In the female body. Nothing like that in the male body. In the male body, both the testes, all the cells of the testes participate in the process of gamete formation by meiosis. So that's the reason in the male body, millions of sperms are produced at a time in comparison to only 1 female gamete in the female body. So this concept you'll have to remember. Now that we are talking about the section of the ovary, now the section of the ovary, when we try looking into the section of the ovary, now in case of the section of the ovary, we try to understand what would be the different stages. The different stages, if we come to understand this, the different stages are, there is a big cell-like structure which is forming the gamete. So this is what I'm showing you here. A big cell-like structure undergoing meiosis, forming the gametes. This particular cell-like structure, what is it known as? This is known as the Graafian follicle. What is the meaning of a follicle? A big cell. So the big cell-like structure inside the ovary, which is making the gametes by the process of meiosis, that is known as Graafian follicle. So it will come and fuse with the wall of the ovary then. Once it fuses with the wall of the ovary, now what happens? It has fused with the wall of the ovary and this gametes will be released out. Once it fuses with the wall of the ovary, the gametes are all released out. Yes, all the four will be released out. So I talk about a process something like this. This entire cell-like structure, which was making this gametes, now has become empty because the nuclear contents have all come out. What is this process known as? This process is known as ovulation. Let us take this definition. The first definition for you to remember, what is ovulation? Write down. What is ovulation? The release of, what is ovulation? The release of the developing ovum. The release of the developing ovum from the ovary. Release of developing ovum from the ovary is known as ovulation. Release of developing ovum from the ovary is known as ovulation. Okay. So now this big cell-like structure which was undergoing meiosis, now the four nuclear components which has been made all released out. But what will happen to this and what will happen to this? This is what we have to understand. What will happen to this? I talk about this first. What will happen to this? This structure will again reform. This structure, this multicellular structure, this will now get converted into a multicellular structure, and this also has got a name. But now what will it be engaged in? This will be engaged in making the hormones in the female body. And what are the hormones in the female body? The estrogen and the progesterone. So here two things to understand. That look into the section of the ovary, we can understand the stages of formation of the gamete, and these are specialized structures where the gametes are formed. But once ovulation has happened, this empty follicle, follicle means a big cell, this empty follicle repairs again and then starts releasing hormones. Which are the two hormones? Estrogen and the progesterone. Now let us talk about this part. What is happening to these gametes? I talk about majorly this one because this is the main gamete. Let us not talk about the rest three right now. I am talking about only this gamete now. So we are saying that this particular gamete, which one? The ovum, which is now released from the ovary, is entering into the fallopian tube. What is the next part of the female reproductive system? The fallopian tube or the oviduct. What is its function? The fallopian tube or the oviduct has got two functions. Number one is passage of ovum. The first is passage of ovum from the ovary. Passage of ovum from the ovary to the uterus. Passage of ovum from the ovary to the uterus. Second function, very, very important to remember. This fallopian tube is also the site of fertilization in case of the female body, human body. You are asked questions. What is the site of fertilization in a flower and in human body? What is the site of fertilization in the flower? Ovule, very good. And now in the female body, in the human body, if you are asked, then you have to write down fallopian tube. So what is the site of fertilization in the human body? Fallopian tube. Otherwise, the fallopian tube will always help in the migration and the movement of this ovum after ovulation towards the uterus. Now we try understanding that this particular ovum, what will be its few characteristics to remember. This ovum that I understand, this ovum that we are talking about has got a lifespan. Lifespan of how many days? It has got a lifespan of just 1 day. What about the chromosome number? 23 chromosomes it has. This ovum that I'm talking about has a lifespan, meaning it is active, functional only for 1 day. It's a big cell, a large amount of cytoplasm, that 23 chromosome, that is its function, that is its characteristic. Is it capable of movement on its own? No. The male gamete was. The female gamete, no, it is not capable of movement at all. So this female gamete is now getting mature and now is ready for the process of fertilization. Now I said that yes, it has got a span for 1 day. For 1 day it is active. During this period, if this female gamete comes in contact with the male gamete, then the process of fertilization. So if I understand that yes, during this period, a large number of the male gamete has entered the body, then what? Then the male gamete and the female gamete come in contact with each other, and now this fusion of these two cells, what will we call this process as? This process is known as fertilization. The definition of fertilization should be very well known. Let us write down. What is fertilization? Always to write. What is fertilization? The fusion of, in human or in the flower, it is the same thing. The fusion of one male gamete and one female gamete. Fusion of one male gamete and one female gamete to form the zygote. Fusion of one male gamete with one female gamete to form the zygote is known as fertilization. Okay. So now after the process of fertilization, let us now see what would be some of the other changes. So now this process of fertilization has happened. Immediately this process of fertilization gave to the formation of a single cell. What is this single cell now known as? This single cell is now known as the zygote. In the definition we have written down what is the outcome of fertilization? Formation of a single cell known as the zygote. But what is the difference between these two gametes and the zygote? The zygote has got 46 chromosomes. That is one feature of the zygote. You get questions in the paper, how is the chromosome number restored during fertilization? Meaning, how is the chromosome number coming back to the 46 again by fertilization? What I supposed to explain there? Both the gametes, each containing 23 chromosomes, when they fuse together, that 23 pair is again obtained back. That is, that 46 number is again obtained back. So that you'll have to frame properly to write down. The question that you get on this concept is, how is the chromosome number restored in human during the process of fertilization? So remember to write. Now, this zygote will not remain like this. This is a single cell with 46 chromosomes. So, this single cell with 46 chromosomes, will it remain like this? No, it will not remain like this. Immediately it enters into a sequence of cell division, resulting in the formation of a bigger and a multicellular structure. What do we call this bigger multicellular structure? This is known as an embryo. This embryo is actually, now if I talk about the zygote and the female gamete, what is the difference? I've been saying that this is the female gamete, this is the ovum, and this ovum, when the male gamete came in contact with the ovum, it is actually the ovum which got transformed into the zygote. It is actually the ovum which got transformed into the zygote because during the process of fertilization, the male and the female nuclear parts came together, and as a result, it is this female gamete only which got converted into the zygote. And now this ovum, no, we are not talking about this as an ovum. We are saying that it is a fertilized ovum, rather a zygote. What is a zygote? Yes, the fertilized ovum is a zygote because it has got two nuclear components, 23, 46 chromosomes now. Clear here? So now, when I talk about this zygote, what will happen? it will undergo sequence of cell division. Which type of division? Mitosis. And then every time the cell getting divided into two and resulting in the formation of a multicellular embryo. Mitotic cell division, remember now here, every time the cell number doubles, 2 and then 4 and then 8 like that. So every time the cell number doubling, from where are they getting the nutrients? From the cytoplasm of the zygote. For the process of cell division, nutrients are required for the process of cell division. So from where are the nutrients obtained? From the cytoplasm. And that was the reason why in the female body, the cytoplasm is all concentrated in one big cell. Because if fertilization happens, this cytoplasm is acting as a reservoir for nutrients to carry on the next few cycles of cell division. You get questions? Why in the female body the ovum concentrates the maximum amount of cytoplasm? You write answers. Because this ovum, if it undergoes the process of fertilization, it has to carry on the numerous cycles of cell division, at least 5, 6, 7 cycles of cell division. It can easily fail. It can easily support. So yes, by the time the embryo is 2 and then 4 and then 8 cell stage, not a problem, because there is enough amount of nutrients for the process of cell division. But by the time the embryo has become almost about 16 or 32 cell stages, this embryo is actually running short of nutrients now. This embryo is now running short of nutrients. So what is happening? This embryo is now trying to make its attachment with the uterine wall. The developing embryo now is running short of nutrients, and normally, naturally, what will happen? To obtain nourishment, what will happen? This developing embryo will make its attachment with the uterine wall. What is this process known as? This process is known as implantation. What is the next phase? The next phase is implantation. What is happening in implantation that you see in the figure also? The developing embryo is getting embedded in the uterine wall. For what? Obtaining nourishment from the female body, from the uterine wall. Why nourishment is required? Because it has to carry out the further stages of cell division. Let us write down the next definition. Implantation. The process of attachment. The process of attachment of the developing embryo. Process of attachment of the developing embryo into the uterine wall. Into the uterine wall to obtain nourishment. Into the uterine wall to obtain nourishment for further cycles of cell division. For further cycles of cell division is known as implantation. So what is the next phase? So we are saying ovulation is the first thing to happen. After ovulation, what did we come across? The next was fertilization. After ovulation, the next was fertilization. After ovulation, fertilization. And then the third is, if fertilization has happened, then next is implantation. What is the meaning? The developing embryo starts getting embedded into the uterine wall and now starts receiving nourishment. Now, this developing embryo is constantly growing and becoming bigger, and this group of cells are not only increasing in number, but this group of cells will start developing the body parts. So when we are saying that the group of cells starts developing the body parts, so here we try understanding that this developing body parts, meaning this entire ball of cells, they will not just keep on this entire ball of cells, they will now take different structures. They will take different shapes. So here, simple to understand that this developing embryo will make its attachment even firm and start developing tissues and organs right now. So after implantation, now what? Cell division. Along with cell division, the formation of the tissues and organs will start. How does the tissues and organ development start? Every time when the cell division happens, one group of cells start getting mature to form different tissues. Now, in this process, what else you are to understand is that this developing embryo is very much there. So this developing embryo, now if I try to look into what else, what are the other structures that it generally makes? This developing embryo is forming, this developing embryo is not only forming a group of cells, let us go to the next set of the figure. It has started forming certain tissues and organs. So it has started forming certain tissues and organs where now a small miniature structure has started forming of a human. Limbs are getting formed, the heart starts getting formed, the eye starts getting formed. So part by part, the body starts getting formed. So it is not just a group of cells or a ball of cells. But during this stage, it is not only that this entire wall is there, the protective wall of the embryo is definitely there. But apart from that, some other protective structures will be formed and some finger-like projection starts developing this way. This finger-like projections which are developing starts making a network with the blood vessels on the uterine wall. So this entire structure is attached to the uterine wall. Here in this diagram, I am showing you that the position is changed because we are drawing stages of the diagram. But once it is attached to one particular point, the entire development will happen itself attached there. It will not change its position this way. So try to understand that now if the implantation has happened here, the embryo remains attached and the entire process of the growth will happen. So just simple stages for you when we are talking about that this embryo has undergone the process of mitosis and first of all a ball of cells are formed. Immediately within few weeks, this ball of cells are no more there, but the ball of cells have started forming some tissues, organs, and the entire structure looks like a miniature adult. It has started forming the limbs and the abdominal region and the eyes and etc. And there is a fluid getting formed. There are some rope-like structures which are connecting the embryo with the outer wall of the entire embryo, the embryonic wall, and followed by some finger-like projections which are attached with the blood vessels all throughout the blood vessels of the uterine wall. So there's a disc-like structure that is getting formed. What is this disc-like structure known as, which is getting formed between the developing embryo and the uterine wall? This disc-like structure is known as the placenta. So at this stage, if I try looking into this entire embryo this way, the entire embryo is almost this way. That way, it has started forming some body parts surrounded by a fluid. There are some protective wall all surrounding and some finger-like projections all getting formed. Surrounding this finger-like projections, what are they? The blood vessels. What is this disc-like structure known as? This is known as the placenta. What is this process known as? Placentation. What is the next stage after implantation? The next stage after implantation is placentation, where this finger-like projections start developing from the embryo and which starts getting forming a network, formed with the blood vessels of the maternal one. So what are the two major tissues involved? Let us try labeling them. The two major tissues involved are the maternal blood vessels. Let me just write here. The two major Tissues involved. What are the two major tissues involved? The two major tissues involved, if I have to label this part, these are the maternal blood vessels. These are the maternal blood vessels. And what about this side? These are the finger-like projections of the fetus. What is this? This is the fetus. Let us try understanding a difference between this word fetus and the embryo. What is the difference? If it is an embryo, we are only talking about a ball of cells where the body parts are not yet formed. Now that we have started talking about the fetus, meaning the body parts have started formed. The body parts are forming, and it is not just a ball of cells, and the body parts have started forming. Surrounding there is a fluid, there are some protective layers, and there are some finger-like projections forming a network with the blood vessels of the maternal body. This entire disc-like structure, where is it? It is on the wall of the uterus. This entire structure, when formed, the process is known as placentation. A structure roughly like this starts getting formed. Let us try looking into this. A structure, something starts getting formed. So now if you look into this particular structure, that is the placenta. This is how the placenta is. This is how the placenta is. And this entire connection of the placenta with the developing fetus, that is this particular structure, this is what is known as the umbilical cord. Umbilical cord is not there in your portion, so that is an extra concept. This part is what you have to remember. Now, this entire structure is the fetus getting attached to the wall of the uterus, forming the placenta. You are asked, what are the tissues which are involved in the formation of the placenta? What should you write? The tissues which are involved in the formation of the placenta are the fetal villi and the maternal blood vessels. What is the job of the placenta? How will the placenta be helping this fetus? The placenta has got variable functions. Let us talk about the most important ones. Number one, the placenta, now that we talk about, what are some of the most important functions of the placenta? The most important functions of the placenta, number one is, the placenta very much helps in the exchange of the respiratory gases. Number one. The placenta helps in the exchange of respiratory gases because this developing fetus have not yet developed a lungs, and it is not in contact with the external environment to carry out gaseous exchange. So the oxygen and the carbon dioxide exchange is by the way of the placenta. What are these tissues that we are talking about? This is the entire maternal blood vessel that we understand, and this is the fetal side. This part I am drawing in detail. So now what else? From the maternal blood vessels, a lot of nutrients will flow inside, will flow diffuse. A lot of nutrients, something like the glucose, and then the minerals, and then the antibodies, and then the sodium, and then the different type of hormones, all these chemical substances will diffuse and reach the tissues of the fetus.
And when it is in the form of zygote, does it not mean oxygen?
When it is in the form of
Zygote.
It
does not mean oxygen.
When it is in the form of zygote, it does not need oxygen. It only needs few nutrients, especially glucose, to initiate the process of cell division. So the ovum was already having it. The zygote was already having it. Okay. And then now that it has started, actually it will be in need of oxygen when the organs have started forming, the tissues have started forming for rapid cell division. So what are the first functions of the, you have got three functions to mention which you get as a proper 3-mark question also. What are the three major functions of the placenta? Number one, placenta acts as a respiratory organ because through these membranes, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide transfer takes place. Number two, placenta also helps in the distribution of the nutrients from the maternal blood towards the body of the tissue, towards the body of the fetus. Number three, this placenta is also acting as a excretory organ. How? Because this placenta will also be throwing away all the waste substances like the urea, ammonia, uric acid, everything that is getting formed in the fetal tissues, because this does not have the kidneys well developed. Neither it is in contact with the external environment. So whatever waste substances are formed here, all will be dumped into the maternal blood by the process of diffusion, and this maternal blood gets filtered. The maternal blood filters not only the waste substances of the maternal body but also the waste substances of the fetus. What are the three functions I've been talking about? I said placenta very well helps in the distribution of the nutrients. The tissues, that is the placenta, the walls are very thin. The process of diffusion can happen. And the nutrients like glucose and antibodies and vitamins and nutrients all can pass from the maternal body towards the fetus. Number one. Number two, what did I say? It helps in the process of gaseous exchange. Number three, what did I say? It helps in the release of the waste substances because it does not have any excretory organ. And the fourth point that you have to write is this placenta also is a temporary endocrine gland releasing progesterone. This is also releasing progesterone for that short period of time and helping in the entire process of development of the fetus. So now, in a period of this, ये जो process है, this will continue for a period of time. Almost about 3 to 4 months, this entire process goes on. Bit by bit, the tissues are developing, organs are developing, system is developing, and this process is all continuing. In this process, in this time period, if by chance the placenta gets detached, if by chance the entire fetal part gets detached from the uterine wall, then that is what is known as abortion. Before the entire period of growth of the fetus. So once the growth of the fetus is all done, there has to be a hormone release. Now I understand that in this entire period of 40 weeks or 9 months, the entire fetus is well developed. Now a particular hormone has to be released. Do you remember? Which was that hormone which was responsible for uterine contraction? Right? Which was that hormone for the uterine contraction? Which was that hormone for uterine contraction which will help in childbirth? Which was that? Hormone for uterine contraction and childbirth? Right? Not vasopressin. Nobody has studied yet. Which was that hormone released by the pituitary gland? Padhoge kabhi October? Absent? Growth hormone, no? Which was that hormone which will be released now? Because during this process, the entire uterine wall will become little bit bulged out. The entire uterine wall will become little bit bulged out. And now there is a need of a hormone. This hormone will bring about the uterine contraction so that the developing fetus can be released out through the vaginal passage. And what is this hormone known as? This hormone is known as oxytocin. Did we study this? Did we study this? Oxytocin, you have to remember this. This hormone oxytocin is released, brings about uterine contraction and childbirth by this vaginal passage. That's the reason the vaginal passage is also known as the birth canal. Why is the vaginal passage known as the birth canal? You have to remember that by the process or during the process of childbirth, the developing fetus gets released through the vaginal passages by the secretion of oxytocin, hence it is known as the birth canal. Clear? So these few words to mention in your answer. So this is what the first part that we have studied. If the gametes are formed, the role of the uterus, the fallopian tube, and what is the entire process. The next class will be winding up with this topic, where we will have to come across that if the gamete does not undergo fertilization, then what happens and what are some bacterial viral diseases associated with this process.
Best
इसलिए लिखे ना, अगर वो ऐसा लिखे तो बोलना सर मेरा कंपाउंड